Hello, everyone, and welcome to the USASBE Meet the Editor series. My name is Julie Shields, and I am President and CEO of USASBE. We'd like to thank our editors and audience for joining us today for this informative, deep dive session on publishing and management decision. But before we get started, a couple of quick announcements. The call for engagement for USASBE 2022 Pioneer and Persevere has been announced, and submissions are already being accepted. Our annual conference will be held January 5th through the 9th, and it will be hybrid. And the in-person part of the event will be held in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. The conference is being hosted by our great friends, North Carolina State University and East Carolina University. As I mentioned, submissions are open now, and they will be open through August 31st of 2021. I also want to be sure to let you know that we have launched our very own channel called Bold Entrepreneurship Education Television, or B-Vision, where we post new, curated content every week. Episodes include tips on how to teach authentically and effectively, interviews with entrepreneurs, deep dives on research being published in our flagship journal, Entrepreneurship Education and Pedagogy, the Annals of Entrepreneurship Education, and much more. Access to the searchable, curated content is included with your USASBE membership. And if you aren't currently a USASBE member, we invite you to join our community of bold entrepreneurship educators today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. But this series, Meet the Editors, is a free program of USASBE's as we seek to further entrepreneurship research and its application in entrepreneurship classrooms and ecosystems. We were challenged at our last year's conference by Bill Olet of MIT to create millions of entrepreneurs. And this is one way we can do our part, to share and promote excellent research journal opportunities like this. Today we welcome Dr. Brandon Randolph-Seng. Dr. Seng is Associate Professor of Management at Texas A&M University Commerce. His current research primarily examines the ethical, diversity, and cognitive factors in leadership, entrepreneurship, and teams. He also serves as the editor-in-chief for the journal Management Decision. Dr. Randolph-Seng will be joined by Dr. Wendy Chen, who's an assistant professor at Texas Tech University, where she researches and teaches social entrepreneurship, corporate philanthropy, strategic management in nonprofits, and rural economic development. She's also a senior associate editor for Management Decision and is leading the exciting new initiative In Motion, which is designed to serve as a neutral ground for academics and practitioners to learn from one another and to transform the research process into a collaborative one. I will now turn the session over to Dr. Randolph-Seng to speak about Management Decision.
As Wendy's, we're going to have Wendy talk as well here, but we're going to do just a couple introductions. I'll have Wendy introduce herself as well after me. And Brittany mentioned this, but I'm a associate professor at A&M University Commerce. Been there since 2012. I got my PhD at Texas Tech in 2009. I've been the editor-in-chief of Management Decisions since January 2020. So about a year and a half now. I actually joined Management Decision in 2014 on the board, and then served for quite a few years as an associate editor. So I've been with Management Decision for quite some time. In terms of just my research interests, very interested in ethical, diversity, cognitive factors in leadership, entrepreneurship, and teams. And I teach organizational ethics, behavior-related courses. Other questions people might have, they can ask me at the end, but that just is a really brief overview of who I am. And so let's have Wendy introduce herself. Let me just advance the slide here.
All right, thank you, Brandon. And hello, everyone. Before I start, I want to also thank USASBE for hosting this amazing event. And I know it is very helpful and it's a really good chance for us to introduce our journal. My name is Wendy Chen. I'm an assistant professor at Texas Tech University. Currently, I'm a senior associate editor for the Management Decision. And I'm very excited about our new initiative called In Motion, and very looking forward to introducing it a bit more later in this presentation. Just a little bit more about myself. So my research and teaching interests lie in kind of strategic management, entrepreneurship for both commercial and social, public management and public policy, and corporate ethics and philanthropy. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. So I want to just give people an overview of management decision in terms of our statistics and what our impact factor is, how many submissions we get, those kinds of things, just to give you an idea of what management decision is about. So our impact factor has been steadily increasing quite significantly over time. You can see 2018 we were 1.963, then last year we bumped up to 2.723. I'll show you some more stats that really indicates that we'll probably, our 2020 rankings, which will be out really soon here, most likely will be another increase. So we're doing pretty well in terms of this type of ranking, citations and people reading the journal. I keep on clicking the wrong thing here. So you can look at the citations. Once again, across time, really steady increase. So last year was best year we've had. This year, we're really on target to not, I would say at least meet it, but I would say exceed it, because we're definitely farther along. It being just a May, I think these were from last week or so, but just being May, we're actually doing pretty well 5 months in. And we look at the cross-reference citations. Once again, we have a nice steady increase, with last year being our best year. And so I think management decision is making an impact in research. People are reading it, and we want to keep seeing that type of progress. This is really kind of reflected in our submissions as well. So you can see that submissions are just substantially increasing across time. So 2019 we had 1592 submissions. 2020 we're up to almost 1900 submissions, and then so far this year, this is actually out of date now, it's from last week, but 711. So we're on target really to beat our record of last year. And this is really reflected in, if you look at our acceptance rate. It is actually last year and year before were kind of the same, as far as about 10%. But this year, I think that we probably won't even get up to 10% acceptance rate, because we get a lot of submissions, and so we can be kind of selective and try to choose the best of the best of the submissions we get. One thing that we're really trying to work on, and this is something that I think is of strong interest to people submitting to the journal, is you don't want to have the journal just sit on your submission forever and ever waiting for the reviews to come in. And so we really are trying to decrease the average time to first decision. And so far this year, we are doing a little bit better by a couple days, but we are really trying to push this and steadily decrease this, and also the time to final decision. We've been able to push down almost 10 days. And really, we would love it if our time to first decision was down even to 30 days. That's kind of our goal, but we have to rely upon all of our reviewers, which we do have a pretty good set of reviewers. Management Decision's been around for over 50 years. So we have a lot of people committed to the journal that help make these numbers possible. But I think we're going in the right direction there. One thing I want to mention in terms of people interested in publishing a management decision, and this really isn't amazing news. I think this is true of probably all journals, but really the three most common reasons why people are rejected. First is just their theory isn't well developed. They don't really join the conversation that might be existing in management decision. They don't really make clear what their gap is in their research, nor what kind of contribution they actually make to the research that already exists and the theory that already exists and how they are adding to the theory. I would say this is actually the #1 reason why papers get rejected, is they just don't seem to have a sufficient grasp of the theory or literature in the area that they're publishing. Of course, design, method, stats flaws is another big one, where we find that this can be a problem. That's probably #3, though. I probably should put that number 3 on the list here, but this poor fit, no clear implications is probably the second reason, I would say. We are a management science journal, and so we want to be able to have implications in terms of the management perspective and in terms of application to the real world. That's something that we think is very important, and Wendy's going to talk more about that with our new section in particular. But it's also important in all areas of the journal to have that connection there. So those are really 3 things that people can work on to not get rejected right off the bat. In terms of what type of things we publish at Management Decision, really it boils down to 2 types for the most part. People presenting new data, and we do have a preference for multiple studies, but we publish a lot of single study papers as well. And then theoretical conceptual papers would be really the other type of paper we mostly publish. Preference there would be following a standard set by Accounting Management Review, but we do publish other variations of conceptual papers as well. And so usually if you're going to submit a paper, Management Decision, it would fall under those 2 types. And that was one reason that we really wanted to create this new section that Wendy's going to talk about in a minute here, to kind of have another option available. We do publish in all areas of management science, so really across the board. Once again, as long as it's from a management perspective, so even managerial accounting, managerial finance, managerial marketing. And we have a strong set of editors who are helping with that. We actually have 17 total, including Wendy, who are working on all these different areas of their specialty when we get these submissions. Since we get so many submissions, we really do need to have this number of people to keep things running smooth. We have also a assistant that really is on the front end and makes sure that the formatting is all good to go. So that would be the first person that you would come in contact with when you submit. But we have all these really hardworking people trying to get the reviews, which is really the hardest. I think that's the hardest thing to do in a journal, is try to get good reviews for articles. But we're able to do that with all these great people that we have, with Wendy being one of them. In terms of specifically entrepreneurship and small business research, we strongly welcome those kinds of submissions. The kind of submissions of people who would be active members of USASBE. I was just curious how much of that kind of stuff we published. So I looked last year, 2020 issues, we published 12 a year. And on average, we have about 1 or 2 per issue that has an entrepreneurship or small business focus. And we also had 2 special issues last year that had an entrepreneurship focus. And so this is an area that we're really interested in. So I'm always gonna welcome this type of research for Management Decision. One thing I also want to mention is we are always looking for special issues. We kind of have a goal of doing 6 regular issues and 6 special issues a year is what we're shooting for. Usually last year we didn't quite get that, but it was close. And so if anyone has any kind of small business or entrepreneurship related special issue that they're interested in, our special issues editor is Dr. Adcroft, and there's his email there. Send an email. There's some forms and things you fill out, and then we have it peer reviewed. and we go from there. But I would definitely encourage anyone interested in doing a special issue in those areas to pursue that. We would welcome that. And that's really a plug I just want to put in here. And I actually added this, Wendy, after I sent you our last version. But one special issue we're working on right now, which may or may not be interest to people, is prejudice at work, what we understand and what we still need to learn. You click on that link there, it goes right to the full call for papers. It's a special issue we are really focusing on right now because the deadline's coming up, and it seems to be a pretty important issue in what's going on in the world today, and has really important implications for work, right? If prejudice is involved in paid work, then that can have profound implications upon people's lives. So if that interests anyone at all, click on that link, and we would definitely welcome submissions to that special issue. So I'm going to turn it over to Wendy. Wendy, can you control the proceeding of the slides, or you want me? Is that something I need to control for you?
Looks like I can.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, thank you. So as you know, I want to introduce our new section, Emotion, to you, which is very exciting. So I want to thank Brandon's strong support. And, it is just like we know USASBE has really good combination between researchers and practitioners. So this new section is really for both of the parties. So as we know, gap exists between academic research and real life business practice. How many times researchers really want to create real impact in their research, but oftentimes they don't know how. And in the meantime, our practitioners, including entrepreneurs, small business owners, managers, they have to deal with challenges on a daily basis. So they often try to seek advice and real useful tools from researchers, but they don't know how either. So this is why we created this new section, Emotion, in the Management Decision Journal. So this new section is really supposed to be a platform to have for both practitioners and researchers to have an open dialogue, so they can know each other better. So we know each other's needs and how to use research to meet each other's needs and to better our understanding of management in general. And the one thing I wanted to point out is for the management decision, as Brendan mentioned earlier, if you don't already know, it is the oldest journal that has a specialization in management. So our management exists in every organization, which means it's not just limited to for-profit organizations. So over recent years, and we see a growing interest in both researchers and even our students, we see growing interest in terms of how to study management and what type of organizations to study. So these organizations include for-profit or non-profit and even public organizations. So every organization involves management, and management could be different, and every organization can have different challenges in terms of management. So we welcome researchers and practitioners to explore the different management in different organizations in this new section. So the topics that you can submit include, so if you have an interview with CEOs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and other managers, if you found these interviews are going to be helpful or contribute to advance our understanding of management, and please feel free to submit your article. And in the meantime, as I mentioned earlier, we want to use this new section to create as a platform and an open dialogue for practitioners as well. And I know USASBE has a good number of practitioners members. So we welcome practitioners, doesn't matter your small business owners, your managers, your entrepreneurs, and or whatever organizations you are working at. And so if you have any insight, and we know a lot of times practitioners, because they deal with management on a daily basis, so we believe we can benefit from their insights, and we can learn from their needs, so our researchers know what new cutting edge topics practitioners really need for us to do research on. And also, I guess theory or research articles, if you can target more real life interventions in terms of management and the management in general, or if you have real cases that we can advance our understanding in this topic, all these topics are welcome. So in terms of the submission guideline, so it is a new section and it is different from traditional research articles. So in terms of length, we want it to be shorter, so which will make it more digestible for practitioners and for researchers in general. So the length is about 2,000 to 3,000 words. And we welcome topics that is timely and cutting edge. So see, like now during the pandemic, managers are facing new challenges. So any sort of new timely and cutting edge discussion in terms of management, we welcome your articles. And in general, we're looking for significant contribution to the existing management research. And just as Brenda mentioned earlier, in this section, we specifically looking for practical and actionable managerial implications and the lessons. So if you have ever worked anywhere or you have talked to practitioners or real managers, you will know they always look for real tools and something that they can act upon in their daily life. So this is where you can make contribution. So if your article, your submission is able to produce practical and actionable implementations and the lessons, so these are the articles that we really look for. And again, this is a new section and we are very excited about it. And so if you have any further questions, don't hesitate and feel free to reach out anytime.
And I wanted to put a plug in there. We just actually started our LinkedIn page. It's a group, so you have to join it. So the link is there, and we publish. I guess we submit everything that's up to date or new in the journal, announcements, special issues, other types of announcements like that, stats on the journal. That's all there for you if you join that group. We used to have that on the main management decision website, but we transitioned over to this LinkedIn. It's actually only been about 4 months or so since we started putting things on there. So we're still trying to make people aware of that group. So please join it if you're interested to learn more about management decision. And I guess we can take any questions right now since we have some more time. If anyone has any questions or comments.
And thank you for this question. So our review process, we're going to, in order to save authors time too, so we're trying to really have a good prep our authors better for that section. So if you have any good idea, just feel free to send an email to me. And then, so you only need to give me a brief proposal of what you try to propose in your article, if you are trying to submit to the new section, and then we'll go from there. and I will give you some advice and tell you whether it is a good fit for our journal or not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to email Wendy first, and then we kind of go from there. Is there another question? For some reason, my thing isn't really showing very well.
Another question is, are you open to research from developing countries? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And if you read the journal, you'll see that we published a lot of research in that area, actually. The Management Decision originally started as an English journal. So we have a really strong European presence, and all across the world. It's a very international journal. We get submissions from all over the world, and we strongly encourage that. Yeah. Is there other questions there? Like I said, I can't really see them for some reason.
Yeah, Brandon, I think if you close your playlist, it should make that chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, yeah. That worked.
Perfect. There was a question in the question and answer box, and it said, how is a country specific empirical research looked at? And a follow-up to that was replicating a research in another country.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's not going to be good enough. That's part of it, but we do want to see advancement in theory beyond replication of just in another country. So that's fine for a beginning part of it. Maybe if you have more than one study in the paper, that'd be great for a study one. But then you want to try to advance theory beyond just whether something holds in another country or not. That's how I'd answer that. So you have a much higher probability of being published if you could go beyond just simply replicating it in another country. So hopefully that answered the question. We have any other questions?
Looks like we have another question, which is, what sets Management Decision apart from other general management journals, or what makes it different?
What makes it different than other management journals?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that we, I guess a number of management journals tend to be a little bit maybe more specific in certain areas, whereas, and that's maybe not true of like Academy Management Journal. They publish in a lot of different areas as well. But we also are a more broad general journal, publish in a lot of different areas, as long as it once again is from the manager's perspective or relates specifically back to management. That's something that makes us distinct. We're also very interested in interdisciplinary research. We had a special issue last year inspired by the COVID, virus and pandemic and all of that. And about half of the authors in there actually were outside of business schools. So they were bringing in theory and research from related areas, psychology, sociology. And so we definitely welcome that. Wendy's actually from, outside the business school as well. And so we welcome a lot of interdisciplinary type of work and research. And also we like to focus, as Wendy talked about, beyond just for-profit. We think management does relate to a lot of other types of organizations besides just for-profit. And I guess the third thing I would say is we really are trying to, like I said, have half our issues be special issues. And that's I think, pretty unique for a journal. And so once again, if you have any special issue ideas, shoot Andy an email that I provide there in the presentation.